Hi, my name is Marissa Henriksen, and I'm talking with you today about some great tools you can use in your nursing classrooms to improve interactivity and engagement. I am a nursing instructor at Cuyahoga Community College in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and I teach critical care nursing. In my experience, nursing students by this point in the program just want to get their classes over and done with so that they can start working, and many times they're not engaged in class because they're so busy with all the things that they have going on. When they get to this point in the program, they may already have their job lined up, they may have had previous classes that just did not seem very engaging to them, so they many times come to me already checked out. What I find is that I really have to get creative with some interactive tools that feel relevant to my students' clinical work, and this gets them more engaged. So I'm going to take the next few minutes to show you some of the tools that I really like for that purpose. Richardson et al. Examined technology use in nursing programs and determined that technology use in the field is inevitable. Advances in medicine increasingly demand that healthcare professionals be able to use technology in patient care, whether that be with electronic medical records, laboratory machines, cardiac monitors, so on and so forth. Our students really need to be engaged with this early and often. The authors of this study explained that integrating technology in the classroom offers students the opportunity to get more engaged because it makes their classroom experiences feel more relevant to their clinical careers. Some other nursing scholars that have some great things to say about interactivity and engagement are Liu et al., and they explained in their literature that interactivity and engagement are crucial through technology in nursing classrooms because faculty are preparing students to work with people's lives in their hands. These authors explained that technology offers students the opportunity to engage with clinical situations in a safe environment, and failure to have engagement in these matters is actually very dangerous for patient care. So nurse educators must get their students to interact for the safety of humanity, and the literature is really behind that. In my own experience as an educator, it has been really challenging to integrate technology in the classroom because it's difficult to get buy-in from some of my students. Many of my students are working full-time, have families and other responsibilities, and they're looking to come to class and honestly sometimes just be handed the information that they need to get on with the program and get on with their day. For that reason, technology use really needs to be integrated in a seamless way so that it doesn't seem like an added burden throughout the course for my students. So looking at some of the literature that has to do with advantages of using technology in the classroom, Gauss et al. Performed an integrative review of 19 different research studies that examined the advantages of technology in nursing classrooms and ultimately determined that available literature supports the use. It bridges the gap that we see between classroom and clinical. The addition of technology proves to integrate these skills and make the education a little bit more seamless. Some disadvantages that we can see in the literature, though, is that Irwin et al. Stated that during COVID-19, we really noticed that technology showed to be really inadequate for educating our students when we were going through a time when that's really all we had. So this time introduced virtual clinical simulations, and a lot of nurses who graduated during that time were really seeing that they don't have strong bedside skills. So this shows that there are definitely disadvantages, and that was highlighted in that study from Irwin. So what I'm seeing a lot as a nurse educator is that integrating technology in the classroom is really not without its challenges. Like I mentioned before, technology helps bridge the gap, but it really has to be done carefully so that it doesn't burden our students, and it has to still include the human component of nursing education, because we can definitely see that technology isn't the sole answer for educating. But let's dig into some of the tools that can be really useful. One tool I suggest using to integrate technology in the classroom is Blipper. I like this tool because it really creates the ultimate culmination of classroom and clinical skills. This augmented reality designer allows you to create virtual environments for your students to interact with. You can add 3D objects, integrate sounds, videos, and images of items you want students to explore, and the possibilities are really endless. I like that this brings the clinical setting to the classroom, and we can use this to map out virtual clinical scenarios, and it also gives students a chance to familiarize themselves with the clinical environment at their own pace in a safe space. I remember going to clinical for the first time and feeling overwhelmed by the hospital equipment. This would have been really nice to learn how a room is laid out ahead of time. Students can just scan the QR code and pull this right up on their phones. The next tool I suggest for nursing classroom integration is Padlet. This is a really neat platform where the instructor creates a virtual canvas that students can post to. It's nice to post a clinical scenario and then give students a chance to respond with their thoughts about what the nurse should do. Students can comment on each other's posts, they can like, dislike, continue to interact so that they're developing their critical clinical reasoning together. The instructor can chime in on this virtual board as well so that any needed moderation or intervention is provided. And then finally, the whole board can be saved so that students can reference it later on when they're studying. So a really neat tool and very easy and free to use. Padlet even allows you to put in kind of what your needs are for an activity, and then it creates AI generated suggestions, which is awesome because we all get that fatigue sometimes when we're trying to integrate new creative things in our classroom. The last tool I want to show you today is Edpuzzle. This is a really neat one because it allows students to practice critical thinking during videos that you use. You can integrate videos from a variety of platforms, particularly we all know and love YouTube. You can place open-ended or multiple choice questions throughout the video to have students pause, kind of reflect, and practice applying what they've just learned. I created a great chest tube management lesson with this tool that you can see here, kind of how it works.
Remove it.
So as the video begins, I just kind of pause and ask students to reflect on what they already know about chest tubes.
Remove the chest drain from the box and rotate the swing out stand so it can stand on its own. Now we will fill the water seal. Remove the prepackaged 45 milliliter ampoule of sterile water from the back of the drain. Twist off the lid and squeeze the entire ampoule into the suction port located on top of the drain. This fills the water seal to the 2 centimeter line.
So then I have a multiple choice question so that they can think about why they saw what they just saw within the video and just kind of reflect in that way as well. There are so many great ways to use technology in your classroom so that clinical and classroom time are not such opposite entities. This makes nursing education more applicable and efficient for our nursing students. What is important to remember though is that technology is not the end-all be-all for your lessons. There is still no healing hand like that of a skilled and compassionate nurse, and the technology definitely cannot replace that. We have to help our students see that by serving as role models and mentors instead of gatekeepers, or by educating passively with technology, that the human essence of nursing is a very crucial component. We have to stay involved. Some literature to back this up. Pinheiro Becerra 2020 wrote further about the challenges demonstrated by COVID-19 and the weaknesses that our students really developed during that time when technology was their sole education. We have to be quite wary of that concern and ensure that the human touch in nursing never eludes us. Hernan is another great author that asserted a similar warning that psychomotor skills are a crucial part of the assessments that we do as nurses. So we must be able to advocate for our patients, and our students have to do the same in order to keep them safe. So these skills require a combination of hands-on learning and critical thinking skills. That's not something that we can teach with a video or just in simulation or with any virtual tool. The human essence is crucial in nursing education, so be sure to use your compassionate nursing hearts wherever you use technology. It can be a wonderful tool in your nursing education practice, and thank you so much for listening.